Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof, another great American musical. Like, I have to say, from my introduction to this show was later in life. Jennifer was in Beauty and the Beast on Broadway with a really good friend of ours named Lauren Goler Cosrin, and she one day said to us, we were just talking about Fiddler, and we were like, I don't know that show. And then she's like, what? You've never seen Fiddler on the Roof? You've never seen the movie? And we were like, no. She's like, you're coming to my house on our day off, which was Monday in New York. But she lived way, like an hour and a half outside in New Jersey. And she's like, you're going to come to my house on Sunday night. You're going to spend the night. And then on Monday, we're watching Fiddler on the Roof. So we did. And it rocked my world. I mean, it is one of the best movie musicals of all time. And it the whole show is, based around Tevye, the milkman, who lives in Anatevka, and his entire world is based around traditions, the traditions of the Jewish faith. And as now as a parent, I understand how the new generations of the youngster kids that we all have, as they grow up, they are trying to always buck the system and change the traditions that the family has. And so that's what he deals with throughout this entire show. And so, so that's basically the show. And so when I watched the musical, I was like, oh my God, I loved it so much. And I've always had somewhat of a obsession with the Jewish faith, because I read this novel once a long time ago. I can't remember the name of it, but it was all about, there's a certain path that you walk. Like, they have rules for everything. And I thought, like, for a young person thinking about faith and how to live their life in the right way, I thought, like, what a great way to live. You're told everything to do. Like, there's a rule for everything. And I thought, how you can't mess up. Like, you just follow the rules. And, I think that there's some ups and downs about that, and you find your own way. But I was like, what a great faith. And so, for Tevye, that's his kind of jam, right? Following the rules. But then also, as you follow the story, you're like, he learns that, you have to kind of change. You have to change, right? And what a love letter to faith and resilience and your family, but it's so emotional too. It's, it's historical. It's, like we talked about walking here to record this, there's, there are many shows this season that people take a moment and talk to the people who are upstairs. Dolly has to talk to Ephraim. Tevye is continually talking to God. Jean Valjean is always reaching up and talking, and so it's like, if there's a theme, it's like of a higher power for sure, and looking for guidance.
Yeah, I have like a long history with the movie, especially because so we would travel to my grandparents' house a lot when I was young, and they mostly had like John Wayne and like stuff that it was like I was not allowed to watch. But they had The Music Man and they had Fiddler on the Roof. So like I watched a lot of The Music Man on the Roof. And this show is just like it really stands the test of time because it's always relevant. Always. It's like, especially like for those that have children, it's painfully relevant, right? Like there's just that bittersweet feeling when you watch him with his daughters. But I also like if you have parents, it also is relevant, right? Like there's just, it's so complex how we work together as families, and like how those ties are so strong, and like how do you, when you disagree with somebody, how far do they bend, and like is there a road too far, right? Like it is so profound, and deals with such challenging issues, but with these tunes that you're going to walk out singing. Yeah. And with this beautiful dancing. Yeah. Iconic choreography. Iconic. We're going to say some things about Jerome Robbins, who deserves his own. There are books. There's so much. He's really brilliant choreographer. Very complex individual. Yep. And I did some research because like I I spent a chunk of my time in college really interested in like the House for Un-American Activities and did some research on that. So I revisited some of that in preparation. And Jerome Robbins was called before the House committee. Yeah. And I think it was like 1950. Mm-hmm. And he named names. Yeah. And he was of Jewish heritage, which he tried to kind of hide. And he was gay, which he was trying to hide. And many people felt like he was betraying them. Yeah. And that they had a problem with him for a long time. And he wouldn't talk about it ever in public after that. But he had a lot of people chastise him. Yeah. And one of the people that was big time upset was Zero Mostel, who was the star of Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah. Zero is not his real name. He was called Zero because of his grades. So clearly his brilliance lied elsewhere, but he stuck with it. And he was also called before the House Committee of Un-American Activities about a decade later, which tells you how long this stuff went on. Yeah. Or 5 years later it was. And he went in hot and he got blacklisted. And it's really interesting when you read what he said. I mean, he was incredibly respectful, but he was like, my political opinions are not on display while I'm on stage. Right. And I'm only going to tell people who are a friend in my house what I believe politically. And, artists should be able to say whatever they want to say on stage because we live in a free country. Right. So it feels like, wow, does it feel relevant? Right. So it's so interesting. Yeah. And so he got blacklisted, and Jerome Robbins had, the very night that he went in, he's had members of the House committee saying, well, I'm going to come see your show tonight, and I'm so happy now. Yeah. So they had really different experiences. And then when they get in the room together, it's a tough go.
Sure, yeah.
And so I think that there's this meta narrative, right? So Fiddler on the Roof is here we are, we've got different factions in our community and not everybody agrees, and how do we work together? Yeah. And you see that throughout the show as well. Jerome Robbins was also accused of being pretty brutal to the cast members. He was not.
He's notorious for not being a nice person.
Yeah.
And I know a few people who were in Jerome Robbins Broadway. David Lowenstein, who's going to be joining us for Hairspray, as Edna, was in the original company and worked with Jerry Robbins a lot. And, I've heard from lots of people about, and there's some stories well documented about him not being a very nice person and, backing up towards the pit and falling in and no one stops. And, it's
that's not very theater. So theater people, but so that says a lot.
Yeah. But it is interesting because you say that was, Jerome Robbins was called in front of the committee in the 50s, and this doesn't even open until 1964. So, the history of people walking into the room I can imagine that first day of rehearsal. Yeah. That meet and greet.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there were hugs and high fives. Right. So, but it is really that choreography. Oh, yeah. It's just
stunning. I mean, it's great. And we're going, the director of the show for us this year is a guy named Rob Schneider, who is out of New York City, and he does a lot of booking for 54 Below. And he has a company where they do musicals that are less well known. And you mentioned earlier that about Jerry Herman and Milk and Honey, and he's right now in rehearsal for Milk and Honey.
Oh, cool.
in his company, and but he's coming to do the show, and he did it at North Shore in Boston a couple of years ago, and I had a student from Syracuse who was in the show with him, and I said, how was he? She was like, he was a lovely human being and a great director. And I said, great, but that's who we like to bring here. And he's also friends with our good board president, past board president, Paul Whitty. And so great reviews on Rob Schneider all around. And then the choreographer is a guy named James Stevko, who I knew that I wanted to do, have the Jerome Robbins choreography recreated here. And there aren't that many people who've been ordained as the people who can do it legally, but he is one. So, and he was in, a few years ago, there was a Yiddish production that was done downtown, and all in Yiddish, and it was directed by Joel Gray. And so he was part of that situation. And so he's going to come and set the show. And then we have a great musical director, Laura Bergquist, coming in to do the music as well. and she was also part of had some dealings with that Yiddish version as well. So we have really great arbiters or people who hold this material in great esteem and who can really deliver a production. What's also interesting for me too is that because we have a multiracial cast for this show, and I spoke with Rob Schneider about it, and he, it's important that we tell this story and educate people about the Jewish faith, and that that we let people see that it's a story that's, while it's based around the Jewish faith, it belongs to all of us. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited about doing a multicultural version of this show, and so is Rob. So it's gonna be great. Yeah, the choreography, especially like the bottle dance and all of that stuff, is so and then you also have the Russians who are also so athletic too, and so that to watch that on the stage with these dancers that we found around the country is going to be so fun. So fun. And just see them get to work. And, it's a part of our mission here is education, not just of the audience, but also of these kids. And so for them to be able to walk away and say that they know the Jerome Robbins choreography that was created in 1963 and 1964 for the Broadway show. And then also so beautifully put into that I think it was 1971 when they made the movie, is great. It's going to be great for them.
Yeah, I love it when we can do that. It's challenging in this time frame, right? Because when you have a Broadway show, you spend weeks and weeks and weeks rehearsing, and so we have a pretty short time frame, and the stage is different. Everything is different, but it's always neat to have that as a mix as part of the season, where like you're going to do some completely original choreography. You're going to do some things that aren't going to ever be seen on a stage again quite like this, and then you're also getting the opportunity to do something that is like that all the dancers should be seeing and studying, and to be able to like do it in their bodies and not just see it on a screen is really cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah, and of course, also the music is really great too. We were talking about earlier, there's those great iconic songs like Sunrise, Sunset, and Far From the Home I Love, but also If I Was a Rich Man. And I was just this morning watching a TikTok that my son was showing me about people who know If I Was a Rich Man from all of like the remakes that have been done by like Gwen Stefani and some other like hip hop artists that have done some other things too. And it's like this TikTok of this old man going, well, the original was this guy. And he's like, what? So I imagine there will be some people who may not know Fiddler who walk in and hear that song and be like, wait a minute, I know the Gwen Stefani version.
Yeah.
But any way that we can reach them, we will reach them.
That's right.
And bring them in.
Tell us about the cast for this show.
And we had, again, various ages and types for Golda came in too as well. And this one lady came in and her name is Pamela Bob. And I don't think she's ever played the role before. And again, just a great actress. And it's when you're in New York and you see these people come in, and it's just it's like the best of the best. But then they're these surprise people that you don't like. You think like, oh, this person's played it, this person's played it, and they're going to be great, and they are great. But then someone just comes in and you're like, there's something special, and she had that something special that was just so warm and so great. And then Karen Robb is going to be our Yenta, our matchmaker, which is again another like kind of theme. Like we have Hello Dolly, where Dolly's the matchmaker in this year, and in this show we have Karen, who's Yenta, and then Perchik is a guy named Jacob Jackson, who came in one of the equity actors, and he was lovely in the room too. Again, a hard role to find because he's the revolutionary who comes in and is trying to change the thoughts of some of the daughters to get them, so that's, but he was just, again, so earnest in his delivery of the material. And then we have a guy who's grown up kind of with us as a youngster. He was in like teen choir, who then left to go on to school at Temple University. His name is Noah Sickman. And he was like this gangly dancer boy and went off, and now he's about to graduate from, I think, or maybe he's a junior at in college, and he's coming back to play Model, and he'll be singing "Miracle of Miracles, Wonder of Wonder." I mean, he was so great in the room too, and it's just, again, it's so fun to watch them grow up and go and figure out who they are as humans as well as actors. And he came in so well prepared. He's a beautiful dancer too, so he'll be with us for the season, but he'll step up into this principal role for the show. And so, and then, we have all kinds of new people, new faces that are local that are going to be here for Miss Sarah and Grandma Seidel, and they're all like local actor folks that are fantastic. So, which was great because we have so many wonderful local actors in town. So it's a really great cast of people. I think Tim Robb is also in the show, and David Rapport is in the show, and as some of the Jewish folks. And so we're just so excited to be able to mount this on. I think this is, I'm not sure how many times we've done it at MTW, but we're just glad that we get to do it again.
It's been a long time. Yeah. I think 2012 may have been the last time. Yeah. So we're due. We're due. Yeah. One of the things that I like a couple days ago, I was like looking at the source material, which is these stories. It's by a Yiddish writer called Tevye the Dairyman. And I read just like the first couple pages, and I was like, I wish I didn't have to do anything for the next 2 days so I could sit here and read all this, because it's like it has that same presence where it's like you always feel like Tevye is talking to you, like you're, it's so present, right? Like you just feel like he's talking to you.
Yeah, right.
And the book has that same feeling to it. So that's on my to-do list before we get to Fiddlers, to read the original material. Yeah. But you can understand why it was, people were so interested in creating it as a musical. Yeah. And it actually had several like nibbles. Like there was an earlier, apparently not successful musical production. Rodgers and Hammerstein took a look at it and ended up not doing it. But like this, it's like everybody knew that it needed to be a musical. And then when we got it, it was, I mean, it's just such a classic. Yeah. And so this is one of those where sometimes people will say, well, I've seen it before. And it's like, there's just you should see it again. You should just see it again
because you get so much from it. And I think you're right. Like when you see it in history and also your personal timeline, it changes the story for you.
100%.
Right? And Bach and Harnick wrote these great songs for it. And it is one of those shows that I would wish I could go back in time and be a fly on the wall for the creation of this, and just to see how it all really came together. It is just such a beautiful show. So exciting.
That's Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler.